Moon handles, she's our sustainability and inclusion director, and she handles where those funds get directed to, achieve that 200% carbon negative offset. So we use tools like Offsetra, and we don't just use one tool, we use a decentralized collection of tools to make sure that we are using all of the information available at the space, not just one source of data there. And then we are donating those to companies who are actually sequestering carbon out of the atmosphere. So we are doing that quarterly just to keep gas fees efficient and those type of things. So at the end of March, we will be making our first carbon offset. And that is actually inclusive of all secondary sales. So we will scan our smart contract, which includes all the transfers and approvals needed for any secondary sales. And we will plug those into Offsetra and this other list of tools. And then we will donate those directly to companies who are pulling or sequestering carbon out of the atmosphere.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, this is a big concern for a lot of people in the space right now, especially with regards to projects that are building on the Ethereum blockchain, the impact that it has on the environment. So, it's great to see projects that are taking steps to offset and in your case, to have a positive effect on the environment and the net. So that's awesome.
Totally.
So you have a project minting right now. Obviously, you're trying to, build a community around that. You want to tell us a little bit of the story around Dissipation NFT?
Yeah, totally. So, back in, I got into the space around like April, May into the NFT space. I've been in crypto for a while as a developer and kind of just hearing the things through the grapevine since 2013. Funny little tidbit, I actually moved into my Acura SUV, my SUV in 2017 with my dog, traveled the country while having a full-time job so that I could have no rent and funnel all my paychecks into crypto at the time because I believed in it so much. Obviously that was a tough bear market to sit through, right? But now we're in a pretty fun time again. So I opened my eyes to DeFi in January of last year. And then in like April, started seeing NFTs. And I first was like, man, these NFTs, comic books, these type of things, like they look like they're trying to steal my ETH and I'm trying to use DeFi to grow my ETH. But I soon realized that was not the case, right? And then as a creator in the space, I was running my own creative agency, taking client meetings and doing these type of things. And that, wasn't the best. It was okay, but it wasn't like the best use of what I would like to be doing with my time. So we had some runway. We completely left the client work and I went full into building my own generative art platform. And I had thought about releasing Dissipation or my first piece on Art Blocks, but they have like a 6 to 12 month waiting list. And, I really didn't want to be gate kept in that way, right? And I wanted to build something not just for myself, but for my friends as well. So I went into full development mode, and Dissipation was my project that I used to test and build the whole system, right? So Dissipation is really like a seminal piece in the intent.art history because it was used to build the entire intent.art platform. And then I talked a little bit about our artistic context and how that's really important to us. So the context behind Dissipation is, and if you look at the imagery, there's eyes, right? It kind of there's a generative vibe, but there's these like hand-drawn look and vibe to the eyes that are in each piece. And the idea is there, our attention is being pulled in so many different directions, and there's eye candy. And then especially in the NFT space, there's all this like FOMO and our energy is getting pulled in all these directions, right? So it's easy to like buy one thing, it do well, and think that you should be like, man, I should have bought 3, or buy 3 things, it do well, and be like, man, I should have bought 10, and just never be happy with what you're doing, right? Or what you've accomplished. So Dissipation is all about enjoying the eye candy, enjoying all the cool things in the space, but then letting those desires and letting those things come through the eyes, pass quickly, and dissipate. So if you really want to have a joyful, happy, meaningful experience while being able to enjoy all the things going on into the space, let go of attachments, do the thing, enjoy, and let those cravings and attachments dissipate. And that's the context behind Dissipation.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I mean, I think all of us agree that there's so much going on in the space right now. I mean, Discord, Twitter, everything is crazy. It's pulling our our attention in so many different directions. So I think the question that people want to hear is, so how do you direct some of that attention towards your project? Actually, something that I want to try to ask everybody on the call today. Do you remember the first tweet that you sent out announcing your project to the world, whether it's, for N10 art or for dissipation? Tell us what it was. How did it feel? What was the response that you got from it?
Here's the funny thing is, I don't remember it. And the truth is, the first one doesn't really matter. There's so much energy. I remember, what I do remember is holding back. I remember not wanting to tweet out, not wanting to tweet out too soon, or holding back from doing that because everything had to be perfect and I had to have everything looking just like so, right? But the truth of the matter is, you tweet it, no one sees it, right? Because it's the first tweet you've ever made. So the lesson learned there was start sooner rather than later, share sooner rather than later, anything that you have. Looking back, I have no regrets. I wouldn't really change anything, but if there's lessons that I learned, it would be share earlier. Don't be as self-conscious. Know that it's going to take a certain amount of momentum for you to get, get that love, get those eyeballs. So just start doing it, start putting it out there, start sharing, be authentic. And that's probably the most important thing. So now to kind of go to your first question about and feel free to cut me off here, but what are we doing to curate community, right? Because that's kind of what this is about, this call is about. So I think really, I like to come back to creativity, because anything in this world can be a commodity except creativity, right? So how can you bring creativity into generating and growing community, right? And part of that is being authentic. It's not just using, hey, friend, FREN, and, GM, and those things are cool or whatever, but it's like being authentic, being you. It's definitely get that Discord and Twitter going as soon as possible. Start sharing as soon as possible, and be yourself in that Discord, right? Communicate with people. But also think about what are some creative ways that you can give back to the community. So there's actually someone in this call that I'll shout out real quick. His name's Kush Lion, and he's an amazing artist that is a homie of mine. We're going to do a collab soon. And he created some derivatives of Gutter Cat Gang that he just gave away for free. Awesome. He gave away like 1,000 pieces for free at the very beginning, just to show his work, show his talent, but also to get people hyped on him and show that he's part of the space. And it's very easy to disseminate that work when there's not the barrier of cost, right? So shout out to Kush. But what we just did was we had a launch party for Dissipation, and we spent a week basically taking screen captures of Dissipation and then PFP projects that are in our collection that we have the licensing rights to. And my partner on Intent.art team, Dr. Benton Banner, is an amazing designer. He mashed up Dissipation with our PFPs in our collection that we had the digital rights to. We made a generative animated collection of 400 of these things, and we gave away 100 for free in a 6-hour Twitter space. And then we gave the other 300 out to our current
some of these are really great. I saw these. These are fantastic, man.
Yeah. And that was cool because people know that imagery, right? They know those PFP projects, but then we got to do our vibe with it. We got to do the Dissipation thing, and with the bright colors of Dissipation and matching them up, it was really cool. Something else that I'll mention that we have in our things, we have a pretty deep tech stack. I have like a generative NFT video factory is what I call it. So I built that when I was running the creative agency, and didn't even realize until I got like about 3 or 4 months into the NFT space that it was the perfect tool to create video NFTs. So we were actually able to pump those a 400 piece generative video project out in 5 days. And then we just gave them all away to the community. So that's kind of, I'll just circle back to the creativity part, is like, that's how we were able to leverage our tool set, but also leverage our creativity in doing something that we gave away to the community for free to foster that community, get people pumped. And just in that 5 days, we doubled our Discord from like 300 to about 600 people. So, we're still small, we're scrappy. We're not, we don't have a community of 5,000 people. So doing what you can with what you have is great, but man, that being able to get a few hundred extra Discord users is everything to us. And we really appreciate everyone that made it to us after that.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And this is kind of one of the things we really want to get in during the panel session today is, what are these strategies? We're seeing so much going on right now with regards to whitelists and people doing partnerships and giveaways. And you just mentioned, giving away the actual art, airdropping to influencers, things like this. We want to touch on all this and how you feel about it. But yeah, thanks for sharing. We're going to bring on Martin Welker next. And then we'll catch up with you in about 20 minutes for the panel session.
Sounds good.
All right, fantastic. All right, so guys, joining us next, we have Martin Welker. Martin Welker is a serial entrepreneur, founder, Bored Ape Yacht Club number 3329, and owner of Sold Out Project Metawatches NFT. Hey, Martin, how's it going?
Hi, everyone.
Where are you joining us from today?
From Karlsruhe, which is a small city, I guess, a little bit smaller than Berlin in southwest of Germany. Many
All right.
of you might know already as the Silicon Valley of Germany. I think almost every city says this about itself. Yeah,
we're definitely saying
I'm a little bit in listening mode right now because I listen to Jiwa. That's so many great insights, and I was always nodding when he told about how everything involved and stuff. So great listening. Hopefully, I can add some other aspects to it.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got a little echo on your side. Maybe,
okay.
mute.
I can maybe even switch to phone.
Yeah, that might help. Try it now. Yeah, that really fixed it. Thanks.
Yeah, that really fixed it. Thanks.
Oh, nope, actually, it's still maybe mute while I'm asking questions. Maybe mute yourself.
I can hear you. Can you hear me as well?
Yeah, hang on. That's perfect. So I just put you on mute while I'm asking the question because it was creating a little bit of an echo. But the first thing I wanted to get into, I've read a little bit around how you got into the NFT space, how you got into crypto. It seems like it's a pretty awesome story. So maybe you want to just start by telling us, how you got into crypto, and what was that catalyst that got you into the NFT space, and where did you start? I just asked to unmute you.
Right. Sound is better now? Perfect. Yep. How did I get into crypto? Totally forgot. I only know when it was. I think it was 2013. So I think Jiwa, you told you were in this space in almost the same time. What I have still in mind of this is I bought a graphics card, a big chip, really costly, and I tried to mine some Bitcoins back then. I think they were at like $50-$60 each, but I lost my interest in mining because it was kind of complicated, and I just let it go. I think it was the graphics card alone was like $400-$500. So I should have invested this in Bitcoin. Would have been a much better investment instead of taking room now in the construction room. So I still have it as a reminder. I also bought some Bitcoin then. I like for 80 a piece. Sounds terrific, but I also sold some of them for 70. And in the retro perspective, that sounds like a very silly and very stupid decision. But you always have to remind yourself, and this is also very helpful in the NFT space. No one knows what's really going on, and no one knows what's coming next. No one. Yeah, we are. I'm a ape holder myself. I have 2 Bored Apes, and that's a crazy valuation right now. And if someone would tell me next year this will be worthless, I would say, yeah, okay, understandable.
Maybe, right?
Maybe.
When did you get in? When did you get into the Bored Ape Yacht Club?
I come into this in a minute or in a second. Just so what I was just wanted to say is, I invested early in Bitcoin, but I was never a crypto guy. I never was like aware of altcoins and stuff. I had no interest because I'm a software entrepreneur, so to say. We have a software company, we are a vendor, so there's daily business to do. We are in the cloud business, and we do production, productivity software, ZenKit, which is quite successful, and it keeps me occupied the whole day. So there's not too much room to do anything else. I got my first, I think, 10 Ether for free by signing up to a website. I don't know which website it was, but they gave away Ether for free, 10. That's crazy. But it was that early. And even these kind of events and moments, they didn't let me get more excitement for the crypto space, because I didn't see the real application for it and for my life. And this changed with NFTs completely. So for me, NFTs are the killer application for the blockchain. And I cannot remember how I got into the crypto space, but I never was, but I can definitely say how I got into the NFT space. The first time and it was last year, as for almost everyone, all the experts out there, I think 99% started last year. So I'm no exception here. I'm not the OG who minted the crypto punks in, I don't know, 2017 or something. So I'm not that far ahead. That's as a disclaimer to all this expert advice I might give you. I have basically read maybe 1 or 2 articles more, but that's about it. Everything else is like everywhere. You have just to do it, and that's basically the whole secret there. It was, I think, in February or March. I don't know exactly, but I woke up at night and I couldn't sleep. 2 in the night, I guess, and I started reading on Medium at this time, and there was this one sentence, I will never forget it. If you not lived under a rock for the last 2 years, NFTs is already a term to you. And I said, no. What's that? What is NFT? And I was pretty sure I was not living under a rock for 2 years, because I'm like 11 to 12 hours a day in the cloud and in the computer business. So it's
the opposite
really
of under a rock, right?
I was really wondering what kind of rock this could be. But then, so I was kind of curious, and I Googled it a little bit, and I very soon, let's say at 4 or 5 in the morning, I came up with the conclusion that this might be something. So that the whole Web3 thing might be something, and not just what you hear today, like JPEGs and stuff, but this whole decentralization can be the next internet. And in my storytelling, I would say on the next morning, I woke up pretty tired, started installing a MetaMask, got some ETH, which I got from different sources like earnings by registration, and bought CryptoPunk. For the absolutely intolerable high amount of, I think, $37,000 US. So that's in contrast, like like, to put it a little bit into perspective, my car is at least half the at most half the price. So it was a really big investment for me, and I did this because I felt I don't want to forget about the whole NFTs thing, because there are so many things out there. You get so many influences like AI or Internet of Things and stuff, and you always say, yeah, that's kind of interesting, right? But then soon, at least for in my case, I forget about this, and there are no other plans. But doing this investment kept me tightly catched up in the whole place.
Gotcha. So this was your way of kind of jumping all in with both feet and making sure that you had a commitment to learn about the space and not to just let it be one of these things that goes by the wayside.
This would be good, but the truth is it didn't, because I bought the CryptoPunk. I think the Crypto Kitties were basically my first NFTs, but the CryptoPunk was my third or something. And then I went sleeping again in the NFT space because I was so occupied with the cloud business. It's just so time consuming. And we were also pretty successful. And my opinion about the whole NFT thing is, maybe I listened to Gary Vee quite too long, but 99% of all projects will go to zero, and only the blue chip ones will survive. And at the time I bought the CryptoPunk, the Bored Apes were not even born. They were not even minted. And so I've seen it all through this time. I think it was kind of a middle of the year when the Bored Apes were minted. I was there on minting day. I was there on many minting days, but I just missed them because I said, well, here are the CryptoPunks. Where is the next real iteration? Where is the next NFT with a twist? Not just static pictures. So I was looking for the next iteration technically, and it didn't show up. So there was Bored Apes, but I just didn't get it at that time. And when I got it was a month later. And this event was basically the New York, the NFT New York conference, or the meetup there. I think it was, I'm not quite sure when it was, like September or something. But I wasn't really there. I was kind of in a regular work mode, but I've seen the pictures, I've seen the Twitter stuff in there, and I suddenly felt, okay, now I get it. The CryptoPunks, Lava Labs, they are also located in New York, right? But they don't do anything there. It's just it's not they are not present. There's no community. And the Bored Apes, they did everything. They rented clubs. They just made a party, and they just made people come together. And I suddenly understood my second lesson in this whole thing. So don't just buy blue chips, but also realize what a blue chip is. And in this case, it was community building. And then I made a hard decision to sell my CryptoPunk and buy some apes and flip it.
Awesome. So you really saw the value, in NFT communities and what it could create for its users. So We have a few more minutes. I want to talk about, how did you make that from there? How did you transition over to launching your own project? Tell us a little bit about Metawatches, the inspiration, what you guys have going in Sandbox, and what you see that becoming in the future.
Yeah, so my this was basically my collectors and my collectors point of view, and there's also another point of view, which is me as a creator. I love to build products, and I'm always looking for new twists or new innovations in areas. So like with ZenKit, with our productivity suite, we were one of the first who could switch views between data, and this was very interesting for me. I could learn a lot of things there. And in the NFT space, I realized after a couple of months that if I really want to understand the whole space, I have to get my hands dirty by myself. So I have to do something for myself. And this would need to be something with a little twist. So it was clear to me that I would not start with profile pictures, for example. So it needed a technical twist there. And it's pretty funny, but I don't know the day where I really decided to do watches. But the first thing I've seen which blew my mind was when I think it was the alien clocks. That's some kind of an art blocks, I guess, a project there. And I for the first time I saw that you can also do dynamic NFTs, which is kind of a stupid thought right now looking backwards. But at the time then I thought, oh my God, how is this even possible? Because I thought it's all on the blockchain. It's fixed data and you cannot change anything. How can they move? And then I just, that was a first step into really understanding what's going on and what's difficult and what's easy. And then I started to say, okay, now you have the ownership on the blockchain and you have like the artwork and the assets somewhere else. It can be on the blockchain, it can be in IFPS distributed, or it can be on a central server. That doesn't matter. And then I understood all the concepts, or a little bit of them. Mm-hmm. But that was not enough to start with the Metawatches, because what I learned in building products is it always takes much more time than you when you start doing this. You say, yeah, I can do this in 1 week and I can do this in 2 weeks. Let's make it 4 weeks, right? And then you have it. I'm so stupid. I can be so stupid for myself to say, yeah, that makes sense. But then it
looks like it worked out, because I mean, you've got a sold out project. You got incredible interactive NFTs on the Ethereum blockchain now. Can you tell us a little bit about the people that were actually buying these, how they're interacting with each other? How did you find the group of people that this was going to be interesting to, and how did you reach them?
Yeah, you see, I really want to take my time to see how it all begins, because for me it's the most important and interesting thing, because we all start there from zero, right? I start from zero. We have millions of users with our software business. I did not convert any single user to the new community, so we started completely from scratch. And Jiwa was basically telling it, you just have to put out something. And as soon as I was, we made the first prototypes and actually could believe that we can do really ticking dynamic watches which show the current time, we were blown away. But how do we go from there to having a community, which is a necessity and basically the core of everything? And how do we go there? The answer is pretty easy. You have to get out of there. You can't not say, okay, now I have accomplished a big thing. Where is my community? Yeah, I buy it. And that's just not possible. So it has to grow organically. And of course, there are many ways to blow up a community, to get a couple of thousand members pretty easy, like it's paid advertising. Yeah, you have a gray market to pump up your Discord, but why do you want to have it? To impress other guys or another audience? That's not my way to have it. So I reached out to a good friend, or no, basically I did not prepare how I really got into there. I will do it together with you guys. I think at the same time I started making posts on LinkedIn. That's basically is the driver for everything for me. Yeah, that's it. I made a decision at the middle of last year to say, okay, I have to post a little bit more of myself. And I started doing startup tips because I'm in the lean startup community. And yeah, I had some responses, but not that many. And then I had also the Bored Ape stuff, which is, oh, I can earn money very fast. And that's really cool. And I posted a little bit of that and everyone was, wow, that's fantastic. And I thought, oh, really? Is it really like the how to get rich story here? And I tried to give some more background to this and to make it a little bit more not so noisy. But the people were reacting to it and I could give more and more background information, more and more insights on my own feelings, how I feel about this thing. And my community in LinkedIn or my connections grew over time. And then I posted the first things about Metawatches. I want to do something. And then I found Matthias, who is the leader of our community right now. He's really a very communicative guy. I'm more the introverted guy. And yeah, he found moderators. And so we set it up, but we grew very, very slowly.
Okay.
So right now we are 2,500 members, I guess. But it was a really, and this is not a huge number, right? You can see projects coming from 0 to 5,000 to 11,000 in an instant today, but we are not that many. But you will get there when you be consistent.
Gotcha. So it sounds like your focus has really been on organic growth, and just looking at the collection that you have a really widely distributed collection. So really a lot of unique owners who are interacting. So we'll want to hear about a lot more of that on the panel section of our event, which we're getting ready to start right now. And we'll jump into a lot of those more questions around community building, around what the platforms to use are and the best mechanisms. So Jiwa, you want to rejoin the panel, and we're gonna get some of the team in now from Doing Good. And do we have Aaron Jack? Are you in the audience? All right.
I think he's joining now.
Perfect. All right. Mel, I've just asked for you to unmute. Do you want to introduce yourself to the panel?
Hi, yes. How are you? So glad to be here. It was really great to hear you, Martin, talk. Really interesting journey so far, and focus is definitely super important. I am Vera. I am head of community for Doing Good, NFT platform that has been launched on Polygon. We're currently in beta. And whenever you launch an NFT, you get to choose your favorite social cause to support. And you see all the royalties distributed on chain. You could have up to 200 contributors. So really happy. And I'm also the founder of NFT Classroom, a nonprofit that works with students in urban spaces. We started in Harlem, New York. They all launched their own NFTs and they all sold. And we're looking to impact over 250,000 students in the next 2 years. So that's me.
All right. And then Geraldine, do you want to give us a little intro? Looks like you're muted there, Geraldine. Oh, she's not there right now. We'll get started here with the panel session. So I think you know, kind of coming off of what we've just discussed with Martin, and as we were transitioning into talking about, you know, organic growth within a community, one of the questions that I have, and I think a lot of people, you know, are interested in, is how much access do you give to your community when you're going through the process of building that out, sharing information on Twitter, building out your Discord? How accessible, you know, do artists need to make themselves to their community? Especially, you know, sometimes you have an artist who's introverted or who doesn't put themselves out there as much. What have you guys seen that's been the most successful in the space? Anyone can feel free to jump in on that.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's always good to, if you can, partner with people who are have different strengths than yourself, right? I think that's really important. A lot of my energy goes into creating the tech and you know, creating art and those type of things. So sometimes I can feel very strapped for energy when it comes to all of the communications, right? But my teammates are very extroverted and they almost get like depressed if they're not in Twitter spaces and clubhouse rooms and stuff like that. So I think partnering with complementary skill sets is a really big thing. I also think, you know, it's interesting with NFTs, you talk about access and how often do you share and all of those things. And, you know, with NFTs, it's like it's almost like it's expected to have like a little bit of mystery. You know, maybe if you're doing a full platform, like doing good, you know, maybe that doesn't apply as much, but when you're doing art drops and those type of things, you want to kind of always be teasing things and having people kind of looking deeply to find those those deep Easter eggs and those type of things. So I think it's important to be completely transparent and to try to share as much as possible with the community and also involve the community and get their feedback and how you should do things. If you have a specific question on how, if you have like 3 options of different things you could put on the roadmap, it's good to poll the community and see what they would want, right? Instead of you just guessing what they would want. But I think they also appreciate a little bomb drop, you know, that they're not expecting. So I think it's good to play with those things from an artist perspective and share and involve the community, but also have a little bit of mystery there so that so it's entertaining for them as well.
Awesome. It looks like we had a couple more people join the panel just now. Aaron, you want to give a quick introduction?
Sure. Hey, I'm Aaron Jack. I'm an art interviewer, an NFT interviewer. I do interviews of such amazing people over at Doing Good. And I thought I'd bring them along because this is an awesome panel discussion. I'm working with Jiwa and Morris and Alex with bringing together amazing NFT people here in the Berlin community. And you can find me over Instagram, Clubhouse, Twitter. I'm all over there. So thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. And Micaela, you want to give a quick introduction as well?
Yeah.
Oops, you're muted there. Sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you now.
Hey everyone, I'm Micaela. I am a head of creator relations at Doing Good. And my work is basically to keep the relations with the creators on point and happy to provide them with the tools, to provide them with the community they deserve. So Mel and I worked a lot together to give this tools to them to grow our community, to create activities, giveaways, contests, many different community fun for creators to engage with our community. And yeah, just I'm really happy to be here with you.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, Micaela. And this is something that I definitely think everybody in the audience is interested to hear about. I mean, you mentioned giveaways, you mentioned, whitelist, some of these kind of things that we're seeing in the market right now. When you turn on Twitter, it just hits you with a million of these different things. Here's a giveaway of this, follow me, turn on your notifications. We're giving away 10 whitelists. What are you guys seeing that is the most successful right now? And maybe, for the team at Doing Good, what kind of programs are you helping your artists facilitate? And if there's anything, is there something that is maybe, worth staying away from or being careful about with regards to all these giveaways and whitelists and things like that?
Yeah, I can start it off and then pass it to Mickey or Micaela, I call her Mickey, as we both work very closely together on all these things. So, for us, it's been really important we're building this to be tools that all of us as creators, because we all come in different shapes and sizes and we all have different mediums, can use to feel good about the work we do and feel like we have freedom and feel safe and all of the good things that come with Web3. So for us, it's really important to, since day one, provide, education for the community so that from day one, we're onboarding users or more likely community members that understand what NFTs are, understand all the different magical things you can create as different use cases for NFTs, and then create workshops. So we have community leaders all around the world that have local, personal, intimate kind of events that are more to support the community and to kind of really create a grassroots movement so that the community all around the world, we do content in Spanish and French. We're now moving to Portuguese as well, so that we can really put these tools in the hands of as many creators. And then something that's really fun that Mickey has done a great job with too has been bringing on creators to give workshops on Discord to other creators as to, how you can do different kinds of 3D models and, how you can do different kinds of creations. And so it's really become, Mickey and I, over the past few weeks, we've been really happy to see the community growing because it's been something that we've been working so hard on for the past year. And we recently launched beta in December, really. And so just to see the community coming on and participate more in these workshops and really, go to the suggestions channel on Discord and say, hey, this is what I want to see for the platform. This is what I think can improve. I know you guys are on beta, but et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, has really made it a place where the community feels that this is for them. And it is, we're building this together. Mickey, I want to make sure I leave stuff for you to share.
Thank you, of course. And some things that I want to mention is some initiatives we're taking for the community. For example, for us, things that work a lot are open calls for creators. So we, right now, Doing Good will become a community curated platform. But for now, we're curating the first drops, the first exhibitions. So opening calls for everyone, for the people to join, really grows the community because people's interested and they will be featured on the platform. So that works for us. Other things that work right now for us are giveaways, like we were mentioning before. I think that what we're giving away now is what we call creator passes, which grant you as a creator the possibility to upload your work in the platform and sell it. So this really hypes the community up because people want to use the platform and want to see how it is different to other platforms. So people want creator passes. So for us, that also works to bring people in. Now we recently created a campaign that was called the Abundance NFT, that was a free to claim NFT. And that really was inspiring to see how people not only claimed the NFT, but also claimed to give it away. And then other creators got inspired to create their own abundance NFTs that were free to claim in the platform. So this is like different things that are like making us happy, because we create these ideas in a sense for it to go forward and further, I don't know. But then seeing that people start their own initiatives within the community, that's also super interesting. So I think that this is something exciting for us. So now as a creator, if you want to enter a giveaway or start a giveaway, that's also something that builds the community within, because it's not only a matter of being in a particular community, but having that sense of belonging in different places where you can get support from different creators or people in platforms or collectors or different things. So it's a matter of growing your community in different ways. So from your question more is that of what as a no-no, I think that for me personally, I know that there's a huge thing about shilling your work and like sharing it and like posting it everywhere. That is a good and bad at the same time. It's good because you gain visibility, but you have to know where you share your art for it to get the right attention. So for example, us in our Discord channel, server, we have channels that are specifically for this, a share your creation channel or introduction channel. These are the channels where you need to show your work, because it's channels where people are looking at it. But when you're like randomly, I don't know, Mel and I host Twitter spaces, and sometimes people come up on stage when we're talking about something. They're like, oh, but this is my project. And they tell us about their project, but it's not really contributing to the conversation. So that's a no-no for me, honestly. So I think that you need to be careful or where you engage, with what you engage. And it's not only about talking about your artwork, it's about talking about what's being talked about, so engage with the community with what's going on. And there's so many different things to talk about. So it's not only about your art, it is important, and you got to represent what you represent, but you got to get immersed in the community with different things by being you, by showing up.
Yeah, I love that. This is something people say all the time. So it sounds like, as far as things that are really important, being inclusive to different communities is huge, and providing education. I mean, this is a space right now that, is still so early on. There's still so few of us who even have a MetaMask wallet, who are interacting with Web3 in any way whatsoever. So providing education is a major on-ramp for creators to connect with, new potential collectors. Okay, so what about moving forward into just storytelling strategies? So like the Doing Good team obviously is providing a platform for people to get some exposure, but I'd love to hear from some of the artists around what are your storytelling strategies for talking about your art, talking about the project, talking about the community that you're hoping to build. Aaron, let's hear from you.
Yeah, so I think for me that it's being an artist, it's not just about the NFT space, that it goes well beyond that, like how to create and inspire people with creating, that it's the act of creation and not just the NFT, that being an artist is a matter of being a human being, that putting a stroke on a wall comes from the heart. And that's the beautiful thing, is shaping the culture, shaping the stories, shaping what happens, and commenting. And that cultural exchange is more it than the NFT itself. The NFT is something that we, a matter of, we can exchange it. We can have something comes from the physical good to the digital good, that creates a sense of ownership, but, that can create a monetary exchange. But I think being an artist goes well beyond that. And the story of living goes well beyond the NFT itself. It goes to, you know, it goes to making something that's impactful, that's heartfelt, that's joyous, that's a moment that I just did an interview yesterday on the Doing Good channel with JJ Weinberg. He has a project called Happy Little Hairdos, and he's obsessed with Bob Ross's life, obsessed with it, like that. He's gone far down the rabbit hole of Bob Ross, and he interacts with the community. He's found out about Bob Ross's like loss of hair due to leukemia, and you know, came in contact with like children's hospitals, and now he's going to like work with kids with leukemia. So it's this whole story being involved in goes well beyond the act of exchange. It goes to an act of being a human being, and I think that interaction that goes to being an artist, like capital A artist, is the action, the process, the being in life. Thank you.
Yeah, I love that. I something that I really appreciate with a lot of the projects that I've been involved in is when the artist is sharing the process. It makes you feel more connected to it. It makes you appreciate it just a little bit more. I mean, you see these, you know, the finished product on something, and you go out and you're buying it and you're selling it and you're worrying about floor price. But when you see the process of an artist going through it, and when they're sharing that throughout the process of building the community, I think it really you know, creates stronger connections. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to get into, and this is something that Martin, maybe you have a view on, is what are some of the, you know, kind of like in-person mechanisms? I know like Art Basel this year was a huge event that kind of accelerated NFTs. Obviously, you know, there's numerous conferences happening all over the world right now. We're going to have another one coming up in Berlin here very soon. But from an artist perspective, are you guys engaging in these in-person conferences? How are you connecting? Is it helping you build out your communities? Would you say that for creators that are looking to launch their own project, this is a good mechanism for them?
Sure, absolutely. Might not be directly like you have a booth there where you exhibit your own art. It's more like getting in front of people. The more the better, because after all, your community also consists of people you know, that they value what you say, they value what you contribute, and they basically build your community after all. And for my first event was in Cologne at Art Cologne, which is basically a very traditional art fairy. And I met with some very cool guys from the NFT scene, and we just I think for 2 or 3 days we rented a hotel, all in the same hotel, and we went there. And they are also kind of part of my community with Metawatches, and I'm part of their community. So if you start very humble with like 2, 3, 4 guys, that's even better, or even more than just 0 guys out there, or 0 persons, 0 members. You have to start somewhere. And what's a better thing to just see them in reality and have a real connection with them at the hotel bar or in deep conversations. And for me, I would not consider myself an artist. I do art, but for me, it's a tag that I don't have earned yet. I don't know why, but I always see myself as a technical guy. And there was, I think, 80% of the people there were artists. And I have never took my time to talk to artists before. It was just that NFTs made this possible because we got so much out of it. So I could also put some time into it. And from there on, my complete mindset changed into, yeah, that's a very normal thing. I think what I've done before like 10 or 20 years before, I was just like, okay, can I afford to talk to this person? Because we have millions of customers out there. If I would talk to any one of them, I would be like, it was 300 years something. So I was very restricted about my time. I did not see that it was me who I was hurting by that, because human interaction with new people out there is part of our nature. I was saying no to all of these meetings before, and now I said yes. So to your question, is it a good idea to go to all conferences? Absolutely. That's the easiest thing to do. It's much easier. You can build a Discord server, yes, but meeting new people, showing genuine interest in their what they have to sell in them, that basically maybe this is the only way to do it.
Okay, great. Anybody else have anything to add around physical conference events? Aaron?
Yeah, I'd say, I really enjoy the mixture of the digital and physical. I think that's really where this world is going, is we've kind of completely separated from the physicality with COVID. And now we're kind of easing back into the, we're kind of easing back into the physical events. I mean, last week with Jiwa, Alex, Lou, and Blue Moon, we put together this event here in Berlin. And I think that physical event was beautiful, to meet people, to drink with them, to eat pizza with bright moments. I don't know, maybe Jiwa could elaborate, but I just found it magical, and from the peanut butter and jam, maybe Alex could elaborate on that, because, putting together 75 artists to show on the screens from like an international perspective, and then being able to show them in physical space here in Berlin, and then in Tokyo and in the metaverse, how can we bring the arts to bridge that cultural divide, to discuss these issues on an international basis? And I think a lot of these that we can delve more deeply in sometimes in a physical space immediately, although the digital allows us to create longer term, I think, communities where we're able to see people on an everyday basis, such as in Twitter Spaces, Clubhouse, and the larger metaverse. But I'd love Jiwa and Alex to expand on those events and explore how it affected them to be in physical relation, especially with like music and other arts. I think it's really important.
Yeah, totally. I'll jump in. I was at NFT NYC. It was the biggest, it was the first really physical NFT event that I had been to, and it really blew me away. I mean, NFTs is such a niche thing right now. You can't really talk about it with most people that you know. So to be in a place with thousands of people that you can be in a room and you can talk about NFTs, something we're also excited about, with pretty much everyone there, was really, really, really special. And and then because we all have that in common in those spaces that we're in, there's like an instant connection, instant friendship, because they feel the same way. They can't talk about this with anyone either. So you instantly have a friend that likes this weird thing that you like, that most people think is weird, and that's really cool. And I forged some really, really amazing friendships at NFT NYC, at Art Basel in Miami, and and meeting Aaron and Alex, and doing some really cool things, just the beginning of what we're doing here in Berlin. So if you do come out to any of the NFT events that Aaron is involved with, or Alex is involved with, Morris, I'm stoked to meet you there. And and then in 2022, we're prioritizing being at as many of these events as possible, which is crazy because there's so many of them now. They're happening all over the world. There's multiple per month. NFT Berlin is going to be in June, I believe, and that's going to be really cool. We're basically going to be back in the States for all of March, going to a bunch of events. NFT Lisbon, I mean, they're just happening everywhere. So if anyone does have the opportunity to go to any of these events, being excited about NFTs, I would strongly suggest it. And you'll meet some really amazing people, really amazing friends, and you never know what you might create together as a result of it.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Could I add to that?
Yeah, please.
Okay, cool. So it's really interesting because if you've been in the blockchain space for the past 5 years, you've probably been going to the ETH conferences, and the ETH conferences over the past 5 years have really grown, right? ETH Denver, DevCon, like all of these, right? And these were really like during the bear market, during the time that like it was all shit. These were the conferences that we were all going to and being like, yeah, let's build, like, let's believe in this, like what cool applications, what cool kind of projects could we build that's going to like bring some really cool stuff to this ecosystem, right? And so now we see, I mean, ETH Lisbon was a lot of new faces, right? And I'm really excited to see what we're going to see with ETH Denver. NFT NYC was cool, but it didn't feel the same to me as the community of like building. I felt like similar to you, Jiwa, where it was really cool to meet people and you could immediately talk about NFTs and like you would immediately hit it off. That was really fun. But one of the things that for me lately, I've been feeling that's important to differentiate and that we need to bring more attention to as a community overall in Web3, and maybe you guys have had different experiences, which that would be amazing, would be that, you know, during bull markets, there is always a lot of media attention and influencers and these kinds of people that come in. It's not bad, it's good because it brings attention, but new people that are coming in, you know, kind of fall between the cracks of like listening to influencers and then kind of going more towards the side of like understanding the tech side and understanding from a builder's perspective, like what's actually going on and is this real or not? And so in NFTs, I think we're actually like, if we look at this like a seesaw, I think the seesaw often falls more on the influencer side lately, at least from what I've seen. And that's what NFT NYC felt a bit. And that's where I think that, you know, we need to have more conversations about the tech side of it too, so that creators can understand like what they can really create here and what they can really do, you know, because you know, of course, it's really important, and as a creator to put yourself out there and, you know, be in main media and have support from like other big collectors and all of this. That's super important because that's what's going to make, you know, your creation sell and move forward and all of that jazz. But I'm really excited. Like, I would love to see more NFT events where, like, you know, it's like almost like a brainstorming session, or, you know, how are we going to empower more creators? How are we going to get more creators that are coming into the space to actually sell their NFTs? Because more oftentimes than not, it's the celebrities that are being sold out, and new creators are kind of like, what's going on? How do I get support? Why isn't my NFT selling? You know? And so these conversations are super important, and I'm super grateful we're having them because of the previous comment that you made of how do you tell stories? How do you do this, right? Because those are the kind of things that, from my perspective, and again, this is just me, are going to help really move a lot of different people coming into this space forward and feel supported and not have a negative experience and be like, NFTs are bullshit, I'm out, you know? So that's that. And like I said, in real life events, I think this could really be super helpful. You know, like in real life events, we get to connect, we get to go more in depth, we get to really make a personal connection. When we do online events, it's cool because you can reach more people, right? But you don't get to be able to have that one-on-one connection where you're like, hey, I really enjoyed having coffee with you or tea or whatever it may be, and then you become best friends. That's how I've made my best friends in the space for the past 5 years at all of these ETH events. And every time you go and you see each other, you're almost like running to each other, like one of those movie scenes where you're like, oh my God, it's been so long. And, those are the people that when you're building projects, when you're looking for support, when you're looking for advice, that are really going to be there. So that was all I had to say.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks a lot for your input, and also thanks a lot to everyone participating in the panel. It was a really great discussion, having different perspectives. Really interesting to listen and to learn a lot. But I couldn't agree more on what you said, Mel. I think having online events, it's great because you can reach larger audiences. People can participate from everywhere in the world. But of course, what's missing to see the people actually in the audience who are participating and talk to them and have interaction between all the people.
Just want to introduce everybody. By the way, this is Alexander Koenig. He's our partner at NFT Creators. Alex is a startup founder locally out of Berlin who has become very active in the Web3 space over the last year, is building some really strong community out in Berlin, and is going to have a lot of events coming up for us, both in real life and online through NFT Creators here in the near term.
Yeah, thanks, Morris. And you're actually in the US at the moment.
I'm actually in Mexico City at the moment. I've escaped the winter for a bit.
Not the worst place to be, I would say.
Not too bad, but I do want to keep it like sort of focused around what people came here to talk about, which is building out the NFT community. And so the next question that I had is actually coming from the questions that came in through the audience, and it's, how do you build utility and value within an NFT community? What are people expecting these days, and what's keeping them engaged within these NFT communities? So I know you guys are all part of lots of different communities. You're building your own. What have you seen that's successful and it really is driving value within these communities?
Yeah, so I'll just jump in here. I think, it's interesting because the NFT space, it's like a new form of, it's like you sell out an initial project. It's almost like getting a seed round, So what we really want to see as collectors is that when we invest in the project, we want to see that you're not just taking those funds and, using them to like buy a bigger house, right? We want to see you putting those things to work so that you're growing the community and you're growing the project that you set out to build, right? And I gotta say, like, I think like people who put like, yeah, like when we sell out our project, like we're going to give away a Ferrari or something to someone in the community. I mean, that like doesn't really do anything to build a community for all of the people in the community, So I think when you do invest in a project and there is a vision that you're buying into, I think seeing that team execute on the vision that they shared is really important. I think also there's multiple categories of NFTs, but there's utility-based projects, right? And then there's artist and artistry-based NFTs as well. And if you as an artist are trying to grow, I'll take that side first. If you're trying to grow as an artist, I think your community just wants to see you continuing to create and to push your process forward, but also to be speaking out in the space. They want to see you communicating and connecting with other communities and getting your name out there and kind of making, we all feel stoked when this little indie band that we were the first people to find then kind of blows up. And of course, there's a little disdain there for some people, but we love to know that we were first to find these people. And then when they grow and other people can enjoy them, you really share in that success story. So So I think, you know, seeing you grow, seeing you put yourself out there. And I think as from being an artist, that's something that I really had to overcome over many years, is putting myself out there, not making sure things don't have to be so perfect, and you know, being okay with sharing that inner, you know, that whatever I'm bringing out from inside myself out in my art. So yeah, those type of things, I think, because it's interesting, there's multiple different types of NFT projects, right? And how you deliver on a 10K, you know, animal PFP project is very different than how a painter will deliver on their to their collectors. So yeah, I'll just keep it to the artist side, and maybe someone else can bring in how you might deliver value from a different type of project.
I think there's I think there's different things. I mean, as Jiwa said, there's different things that different groups of people are looking for. And I think we look for something different utility from, say, a grocery store than we do a hairdresser, than we do, we go to a gallery. We don't expect the gallery to provide us, with, cutting our hair. There's just different utility that we want in the world depending where we go. Do we want it to fulfill our soul? Do we want it to make money? Do we want to be able to buy food? Like, there's a whole lot going on in the food space. It's just amazing to see how people are innovating and creating, from restaurants to hotels, but each of these things has its own utility. But I think it change, it's a constantly changing thing. Coming from background in design research, I think it's important. How do we talk to, the people who are closest, our biggest fans, our biggest supporters, the people who really believe in, our brand, our growth, our humanness. And I think talking to them, having honest conversations and say, what can I provide you with what I'm doing? How can I be of service? I'm working currently with a 22 club, really based around, service and hosting. And I think it's really important. How are we being of service to our communities, to the people around us, to the people we're growing with, that we're not just growing by ourselves, but we live in a social system, and how can we be of service to those around us? Thank you.
I think it's from the mechanism. It's very interesting that investigating or exploring new ideas and projects can be rewarded in a way to find something early. And this enables also these projects to grow from the beginning in a very different way, because this mechanism of identifying and exploring is now decentralized. And if a community grows around a project, the project can grow as well. And in the past, this was a different process. So for founding a startup, for building up a startup, you need to make a pitch deck, you need to go to investors, and this is how you basically can get started if you don't manage to grow on a lean way, which is much harder. It takes more time. And I think this will make a big change and enable new business models also to arrive. And also I think it's also interesting to link it to sustainability projects, which wouldn't be the case in the more traditional financing world, so to say.
That's so true, Alex. I'm glad you compared it to, raising money for a startup. And Jiwa, I know you mentioned that as well. I mean, I talk about all the time how NFTs are really the purest intersection of storytelling and community building. I mean, if you can go out there, tell a story that connects with people, and you can bring them together, I mean, you can raise the money and put a project together very quickly. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about around that community building process is timeline. You know, we've seen so many new projects that are coming up, and honestly, from what I'm seeing, is an average of about 2 weeks these days from when you see the first tweet to when a project is minting, and sometimes it's even faster. So I would love to get a take from the people on this call around, you know, how long does it take to actually build authentic community to where it feels like it's not just, oh, let's hope that you know, XYZ famous person can tweet this out and we can sell out, but where you're actually, you know, building a core community around an idea, around something that's providing value. I mean, how long does that take? What have you guys seen?
I just, from my perspective, Vera, you said a very important thing, which is we are in a bull market right now. I think answering this question is you always have to keep in mind that we are really in a bull market, which we have never seen before, maybe even in history. So a lot of people are tempted out there to just join the whole trip and start something which they just came up with a couple of days ago and say, okay, it's all there. You have already platforms which makes it very, very easy without even having the technical problems like minting and all of this, and just throw out something. And my perspective is always, can I deliver some kind of value? Is there some value? This might be education, this might be entertaining, or whatever it is, right? And like storytelling is a form of entertaining as well, and a form of education as well. If you have nothing to say, if there is no really an intention to do something, I would really question if there should be a community. Because we have now, sure, there's easy money out there, and I think many people will make a couple of bucks, but the question is, this is our lifetime. What we do with our life, do we really need to be in 20 discords with 20 like profile picture projects, or should we restrict ourselves to one that really gives value to us as a consumer, as a collector, as a user, as a member? And the same is true for us when we create something and ask ourselves, do we really need a next profile picture project? And if yes, why? And why it's me? Why? Is this really just because I can draw something and I have the whole pipeline in front of me and I just do it because I want to earn money? And then I throw out crazy things like a Ferrari or something because I know when there's 10K minting out there, I can make a equation. Okay, then I can offer a Ferrari, and maybe some stupid guys will go out there and hope for the lottery to win. But this is bullshit.
So Martin,
wouldn't.
Sounds like you're saying that to watch out for these lottery style projects, and maybe that's not one of these.
We are in a bull market, and this may be happening today, in 6 months, or maybe the whole year, but it won't happen next year. This when you don't come up with authentic, solid value in any form. It might be education, might be entertaining, might be crazy stuff. But find your mission out there. And if it's only the mission to get involved in these kind of stuff, then maybe your mission is to be a moderator in an existing project. Not everyone has to create her or his own NFT project out there. That's really an advice from me. I've done it. It was not an easy decision for me, but I have the same thing 5 years ago, 10 years ago in the startup and in the lean startup field. Everyone had the dollar signs in their eyes, and everyone wanted to start a startup, made a pitch deck, came to get advice how to pitch investors. Don't make that mistake now. But if you are sure, or if you feel that you really have to contribute to something, then the question about utility is kind of nonsense, because you immediately know what your utility is. You are the utility. What is useless? Why should the people go to you? What's your mission? What's your intention? And you just say that, and that's your utility. It's not the giveaways. It's not like fancy cars. And you don't need that, basically, because it brings people to your community that you really don't want to have in the long term.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more with that. I mean, you have to provide utility, but I mean, I have had conversations, and this is something we talked about on our last event, you know, communities who have come together and they think they have a really great utility, they have great causes that they want to support, but they've had trouble, you know, building out the community, letting people know about what they're doing. So from a purely practical standpoint, just to shift a little bit here, I mean, what have you guys seen be the most successful? What do you recommend for, let's say, for a utility, to make it specific, for a utility focused, you know, NFT project? What are the best ways that you guys see for just going out, spreading the word, building up that community, and, you know, kind of timeline around that?
I'll jump in. Yeah. So I think, you know, it's impossible to put a timeline on these things. It's a slow grind. And if you're lucky and you're doing all the right things, it all happens at once, you know? So it's one of those things where you have to be vocal, you have to be present, you have to exist where people are. You got to be on Twitter, you got to have a Discord, you have to be in Twitter Spaces. And then, you know, Clubhouse was huge, and I think it's still important, but I think a lot of it has shifted to Twitter Spaces. I think Aaron could probably talk a little bit about that, but it is important to be in both. And then just don't expect to create something like we had talked about earlier and then everyone attached to it. Like, if you build it, they will come is a fallacy. And that's been a fallacy in the startup world, and it's a fallacy in the NFT world. I think, you know, so you have to be out there, you have to be present, you have to have people who it's their natural, like, for me, it's helped to have people who it's their natural state to be out there talking about things all the time, you know? And, you know, it's noisy. Like Mel had said, there are people who know how to use a megaphone, so to speak, right? These influencers, they know how to project and get a lot of eyes. And it's really difficult as a creative or someone, you know, who's in the tech or whatever, to be able to compete with that. But you just have to start, and you have to be consistent. You know, if you can be consistent and take put one foot in front of the other over time, you will, and you have authenticity, and you have something of substance, you will be successful. And you can't just be doing it because we're in a bull market. You have to be setting yourself up to do this for the long term. You know, I always tell people, if you're going to invest in a project, make sure you truly believe that they're going to be here in 5 to 10 years continuing to build. Because I'll tell you what, lazy llamas, the team is not going to be building that thing 5 years from now. It's like not going to happen. So, you know, pick the creators who have the passion, who are in it for the right reasons, who love to create and love to do good things, like doing good and create good in the community, and are truly in the space. And if you bet on these teams, then you will have a much higher success rate than if you go after the latest fad. You know, I would also, while I have the mic, to talk about utility for just a second, it's really important to go in on the tech, in my perspective. If you can truly understand, all of this is tech, right? Like NFTs is a brand new technology, and you have to try to understand the capabilities of NFTs to a degree, because that will allow you to wrap your mind around what you can do from a utility standpoint. You know, like you can create art that has a burn mechanic. That's one of the things we did. Our Genesis, one of the reasons our Genesis did well was because it was a cool piece of art, but you could also burn it for any future piece of art that we create in our platform in perpetuity, right? So it gave you this ticket, and it was the lowest price point that we'll probably put out. So, you know, understand what you can do with the tech, understand what you can do from that perspective, and that will give you an opportunity to offer utility from, with a strong foundation of what the space is all about.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
If you go from this perspective and to look at it as a new technology that is coming into the market, and then you have the technology adaptation life cycle, and we're in a pretty early phase, so not the earliest, not the innovative early phase, and then of course you have the sentiment, how to say, like expectations that are too high at some point, that are hyped, and probably the hype is going to vanish at some point. But then the technology will get into the market and go into different industries step by step. And we have seen this with the art world in the last year, where it already went into one industry and turned it upside down in a couple of months, in fact. And I think if you look into from this point and get understanding of the technology and see a value and see use cases in the future, then it also makes sense to get into the space.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to know, man, Morris. I think it's important to note for like creators, especially, artists who are kind of like looking into it and haven't, quite gotten into, or anyone who hasn't quite gotten into it. You don't have to delve so deeply into the tech right away. I think just like with cryptocurrency, just, make that first transaction, try it out, mint something, put something out there, talk to people, find somebody who wants something. I think that's with product, also from a background of product design, put something out there, try it, iterate on it. That iteration, that iteration cycle, design it, build it, create it, get feedback from your users or from your viewers, from the people around you, from your community, from whoever you're trying to serve. Look at human-centered design. I think that's, a big thing if we're talking about, coming at from a product design standpoint. Look into these iteration cycles and how to build on it, because you don't have to delve right into all of the technology and this and that. And that's what I like really about Doing Good, is that make it simple to get into it and serve a like something that you believe in right away. Setting it up with a nonprofit and to be able to give right back to those communities that you believe in, I think is the number one thing. Do it for something you believe in, do it for something that you want to connect with, and just get into it, because, just showing up, meeting some people, whether that's in person, Clubhouse, Twitter Spaces, really meet some people you can call up. The best thing that I've gotten is that I have people that I can get on Clubhouse or Twitter Spaces or WhatsApp, Telegram, all these things that I can call up when it's like 2 a.m. I'm like, what happened? How do I fix this? Or they're across the world where it's the middle of the day. But like that, to me, like I've made real friends that I can call up and say, how do I do this? Can you show up for me? I've got a drop, like, let's do this together. Let's make something happen. That for me is the best thing, and everything else follows.
I'll back Aaron up on that one for sure. Like if you are on the out, like if you haven't jumped in yet, take it slow, just do that first transaction, because even for myself, I'm a developer and I didn't understand NFTs until I did the first one. And I didn't understand DeFi until I did the first one. So if you are, on the outside and nervous, just take that first step. Figure it out once, and then just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and get comfortable being a little uncomfortable, get comfortable just trying to figure out the new thing, because the space does move fast, so you do have to be comfortable learning, right? But I'll definitely back them up in saying just try it, just jump in and do the one thing, and you don't need to know everything to start.
Definitely, that's what we'll jump into it. And Aaron, I'm really glad that you brought up, knowing who the audience is that you're building something for and trying to solve a problem for one person. This is something I'd love to hear from the Doing Good team about, just around how do you go about identifying your audience, where you want to build your community base from, and figuring out, where are these people living, whether it's online or in physical spaces, and going out and reaching them. I know that Doing Good is a platform, and maybe you guys can describe the type of community, the type of audience that is showing up on the Doing Good platform, and the ways that you guys have for going out and trying to tap into that and access it. But I think this is something that a lot of projects are not thinking about. Who are we actually building this for? What is the community that we're trying to build something around? This is, I think, a really big question for people to answer when they get started.
So, yeah, thanks for the question. And really, it's a couple of different things put together, right? And it goes back to the previous question, right? It's one, understanding like what your purpose is, right? Like, why are you building this? What's your mission? What little fire is under your butt that just gets you so upset with what's going on, and you're like, things need to change. I need to create a community here that's going to, or an ecosystem here that's going to really build and make a change. And that is, I mean, you see the smile on my face and you see the smile on Micaela's face. It comes with loving what you do and having a team that's, and a community that's genuine to the values of what we're here for, right? Because when you start out and you don't have a platform and you don't have tools to share, you're really starting out with a mission and certain values that you align with. And from there, you build more conversation and you have clear, okay, for example, for us, we really wanted to empower creators that were coming into the space and were new, because there was so much buzz going on with like all of these creators that were already launching on established platforms. And so we wanted to create a community that wasn't going to have so much buzz around them and was going to really align and feel supported by us before having the platform. And Micaela also did a really amazing job. She was handling community at the very start for a while, and she did really amazing Twitter spaces that we still do, and she's there all the time, moderating and hosting for women in the space, for conversations around diversity, conversations around mental health, and in the content that we create, not just in Twitter spaces and conversations or in the happy hours that we have every Friday that we'll talk about what are we grateful for, what are we doing, or we'll talk about a little more technical AMAs, because now that we have the platform in beta, some of the community has questions. And so for us, from a creator standpoint, we identified in this way because we wanted to really align with creators that were looking into, and many of the creators that came on board with us were creators that have a large image but weren't ready to jump on the NFT bandwagon so quickly. They wanted to make sure that their community, which is like environmentally aligned, would like where they're launching. They wanted to make sure that they could give back. So all of these things together, and of course also wanted to make sure that things like they could onboard as many creators. All of these things that we built in purpose and in intention to be able to bring to creators, and for them to be like, hey, this is a tool that I can play with and I can do good with. And the other point is, there's two communities really to think of. Well, actually, there's a little more, but so right, when you're a blockchain project, you normally have the traditional collectors, which are outside of the crypto community and are like traditional art collectors, right? If you're in NFTs, it's collectors. If you're in an exchange, it's something else. And then you have the crypto collectors, the ones that are already in the crypto community that don't have to have an onboarding, right? But you also have now in NFTs, you have collectors and you have creators, right? And so it's one of those things where it's like you're onboarding new creators, But for us, we also now are like building a community of collectors, and it's understanding what kind of collectors are really going to align with this, right? What kind of collectors are mission focused? What kind of collectors are focused on empowering creators, or almost like, you know, I want to be very careful with this word investing, but like investing in new creators or supporting new creators as like a long-term thing, right? Instead of flipping and really creating a profile that grows over time, because we're here for the long term. So all of our community, that's how we look at it. We look at supporting one another and a community that's going to come in and is going to believe in the long-term vision, not just of the platform, but of the creators and of their own portfolio. And so the other thing I would say is it's also, you know, understanding that there are already communities out there that you can create kind of like a symbiotic relationship with, right? Where you can support them in being able to offer tools or workshops, or even a community that is like genuine and authentic and will ask you how your dog's doing if it's sick, you know, that kind of thing. So not sure if I answered your question completely. Maybe Mickey, you can add.
I just want to add something because you said pretty much everything, but because you know it all, of course. But something that it's really special about doing good in our community is that we, not only our platform is in several languages, but we host spaces for the community in different languages. So when we say we're diverse and multicultural, we mean it. So we host Twitter spaces in Spanish. We have channels of different languages on our Discord and everything. So it's a matter of representation. When you were talking about what's your audience, for me, it's a really worldwide audience. We're going to host a drop from a really positioned NFT creator from Japan. So they're going to host Twitter spaces in Japanese and stuff like that. Like I think that it's very important for a project nowadays to be actually diverse, but generally diverse, and to represent communities and to really embrace that, since we are all about social impact. What's more of a social impact than really being accessible and being open for everyone in different stages of their experience as well, not only languages or multiculturally, but like Mel was saying, on different stages of knowledge within the space. So we have guides for people that have just entered the space, and we also have guides for people that really don't need much of a guide in a sense. So it's like speaking the language for many different people. So it's a little bit tricky as well, because we have to divide ourselves in a million pieces to go everywhere. But it's really worth it, because at a certain point, our community is built by a lot of people from many different places, from many different circumstances, many different disciplines as well. And just engaging with everyone by being a representative of everything, in a sense, by being open and diverse yourself. I think that that's the key to engage in their community and make it a broader thing.
That's awesome. Yeah. And obviously, you know, art has always been so tied to, you know, driving social change forward. And so now, you know, platforms like Doing Good, who are literally enabling art to, you know, put money towards social impact projects, is super powerful. And I think it's a way to tap into communities that care about something. You know, I mean, if you have a cause that you want to be involved in, like, you need to be involved in these communities where these people are living. You know, I mean, I'm involved in a number of climate impact communities, and so we know how passionate, you know, teams like over at KlimaDAO are, and it's very easy to tap into these, you know, in these Discord communities, in Twitter. I mean, the number of interactions that are happening is really exciting right now, and I think that's, you know, it can be a little bit intimidating to people, especially as they're going to launch their first project. So yeah, I mean, any additional sort of guidance that anybody, that maybe we can just go around and have everybody just like share one last piece of advice to the artists and to the people on this call who are looking to launch their own project. Just one piece of advice as to building your community and going out and finding ways to connect with them.
For me, it's what Vera said, find your little fire under your butt. I think it was your terms, and spend time doing this. That's the most important thing, because if you find this, then you have no problem in talking about this everywhere. And so it's much easier. You don't have to sell anything which is not really organic. It's just you, and it will feel very natural to talk about it. And so you don't have not to think about crazy other artificial stuff to come up with. You just find what's really your purpose, what's your value, and everything else will get much easier. So if you have like 10 hours, do 9 hours in finding your fire and articulate it for yourself, and then just 1 hour to get it out there.
Yeah, makes sense. And you have to stick to it as well. So if you're doing what you like, it's much easier to stick to it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
If you're also working with people, if you're also working with people you like, you know, it certainly helps. And this comes back to like the why, you know, sharing the why, that, you know, you can check out the interview I did with JJ Weinberg yesterday on the Doing Good IGTV. I think we talk a lot about that. And on Tuesday, I'll be with Kenny Schachter, interviewing him. I interviewed him last year for my 100th episode of Artist to Art. And I found out about NFTs February 1st last year, also my first day on Clubhouse. And but I'm obsessed with it. And I think that's what drives me. That's why I'm still at it. So that's just coming from me. And I got to, you know, meet him in person at his show here in Berlin and see that, you know, how he's transitioned into NFTs. And so I think it's just, you know, why we're still at what we're still at, meeting who we're meeting, and those connections follow through. So I'd say just keep at it, meet some people you enjoy, and make some cool things in the world.
Awesome.
I would also add, and everything everyone said, completely agree. Consistency, right? Jiwa said it really well, which is, you know, we've been told that you build something and they'll come, and maybe they don't come the first month or the first quarter or the first year. And I know as an entrepreneur, that's scary because often you depend from that. But don't give up, as cheesy as that sounds, because if you've truly built something that had, you know, a little fire under your butt, there's other people that might have felt that need. And you're creating a value proposition that is going to be something that others need as a tool or as a solution. And it's going to be genuine because it's something that you yourself are saying, hey, I noticed this issue or this problem or this hole, and I'm going to build something so that the community doesn't have to experience that. And people resonate with that. I'd also say, you know, like in the crypto space, there are bull markets and there are bear markets. And so just be ready for, if you're building for a bear market, you know, get your capital now, prepare for the next few years. And when the bear market comes, because there's always going to be a bear market that's going to come, it's not perfect. This isn't rainbows and butterflies all the time. Just, you know, focus, because when the bull market comes back around, that's going to be the moment in which, if you've focused and you've built and you've put your head down and continued, that it's really, you're going to be able to kind of hopefully really take it off, you know. So that's that.
Yeah, and I'll just really echo everything everyone else said. You know, don't build things for like, build things because that's what you want to do every day. it will give you all the energy that you need to move it forward. Don't just build something because you think you can sell it, because it's going to get old and you're not, it's just not the best approach. And then definitely work, if you can, build it with your best friends and people who know you. And if you can get a little tension and frustration, and you can just talk it and hug it out a second later. It's super important because it is crazy, right? It's intense, and it's the fastest moving space on the planet. So it's going to get a little nuts. But if you build it with people who you love and that love you and understand your quirks, they'll be there for you, and you'll work through it all really quickly. And then consistency, 1000%, just keep going, keep doing it day after day, and just do you and be you and put things out there in a way that you think, it feels right and is in line with your values. So all of those things. And then lastly, just get comfortable learning. Get comfortable learning new things. New things are popping up every day. And if you're scared of it, you're not going to be able to embrace it and ride that wave. So just get comfortable learning, have fun with it, be entertained by the new things, not scared of the new things. And just have fun with it, have a blast with it, because you've never been able to combine, there's never been an opportunity for artists and creators like this in our lifetime. And man, it is just an opportunity that should be seized if that's something you want to do, or just be a part of it. All of you are in this space listening because you're interested. So just pumped you're all here, and that's about all I have.
That's amazing. Actually, everybody said I wrote 5 things in my notebook. That's basically everything you all said. First is have a passion for learning. This is what you just said, because learning is my favorite thing to do, and it should be all of our favorite thing to do if we want to keep on growing. I wrote find your tribe, meaning find the people that resonate with what you do, what you believe in, with what you want to accomplish. And this will be the people that will support you, and also be ready to support these people. I also wrote the word consistency. Thank you, Mel. Of course, always reading my mind. You got to show up every day. I wrote define your goals. If you know where you're going, the path is much more clear. And I wrote show who you are. I think that as a curator, what I enjoyed the most when I'm exploring art is when I see that this art really expresses who this person is or what they want to say, when it has a message, when it has context, when I need to think about it, when I am shocked, when it shows me who the person is when I most enjoy the art. So those are my little 5 tips.
Micaela, I couldn't agree with that more, showing who you are. I think that the most important thing that I see as far as projects that I connect with is this level of authenticity, is this human element, when whether it's a utility focused project or it's an art focused project, when the artist shows the utility in a way that's connected to their own life, sharing their stories, sharing their struggles, sharing the process of creating the thing that they're trying to put out into the world, and sharing the reason that they're trying to bring this community together, it just hits a little bit different when it's a human connection. So that's what I would say is, be authentic, put yourself out there. And honestly, this is something we talked about, if you're not the type of person who's comfortable with that, as Jiwa mentioned, it makes a lot of sense to have someone on your team that is comfortable putting themselves out there and being available in the Twitter spaces. And even if you're not comfortable on camera, you can be, in an audio chat, but put yourself out there, connect with the community. That's what really creates those lasting connections.
I think it's also important to note here that audio chat and being on all of these platforms, whether it's Zoom, just talking, find a mentor, because talking is a skill unto itself. Conversation is a skill. Being a host, being a good guest, these are all skill sets. And I think there's wonderful mentors out there. And I'm so thankful for my mentors whom I've met via Clubhouse, who have taught me so much. I just can't say how thankful I am to have met mentors who have taught me and given me regular feedback about speaking. And I have a long way to go, and I'm just so grateful.
Awesome. Well, thanks to all of you guys for joining today. I appreciate the Doing Good team for dropping in and joining our panel discussion. I think this was super helpful. I've just dropped the link to our Discord. So if all of our panelists want to pop in, there's a channel called Connect with Panelists so that everyone can get in there, ask some questions. But what we really want NFT creators to be is a launch pad for people to connect with each other, to launch projects. So, you know, in the future, we're going to have events where people can come on, pitch a project, potentially win some funding to back that project, and be able to connect with people who can help them execute, whether that's marketers, whether that's project managers. You know, we want to enable people, especially in Berlin, where we know there's so much creative power to go out and execute in Web3. And that's what we're all about at NFT Creators. So we hope to connect with you on Twitter, hope to connect with you in our Discord, and we'll have a lot more for you here in the coming months, both in person and here in the metaverse.
Yeah, and also if you want to get involved or give feedback, write in the comments or reach out to one to us directly where in which direction to steer this project in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll be posting lots of resources as well as other external events. We partner really closely with the guys over at NFT Club Berlin. So we'll be posting some stuff about their events that they have coming up every week, people connecting in person. So we just want to drive the acceleration of you know, adoption in this space. But we'll hope to connect with you guys again soon.
We have an in-person meetup on Sunday, so hit us up.
Absolutely. Wait, did you want to drop something in the chat, Aaron?
I say, you know, hit myself, Alex, or Jiwa up on Twitter, and we'll get you the information because we've got a secret location and all of that. So Sunday evenings. So make sure to hit us up on Twitter, you know, and we will let you know. Twitter, Instagram. I don't know if there's other places, but it's a secret. And it's a jam. It's like music jam, the NFT jam. We've got amazing musicians, and then we've got NFT people. So just connecting culture and creators, technology, and just a little bit of joy in the world.
Fantastic. Thanks everybody for joining. Have a great day.